You're in a meeting. Maybe it's a tense negotiation or a tough conversation with someone you love. You know exactly what you need to say. But before you can get a word in, the loudest person in the room hijacks the entire conversation, steering it in a direction you know is wrong. You feel that knot in your stomach as your voice gets completely lost in the noise. So you give up. Not because you're wrong, but because you've been drowned out. What if I told you the single most powerful tool to command that room, win that argument, and get the respect you deserve isn't about talking louder? What if it's about not talking at all? Now, this isn't about being passive. It's about being powerful. This is strategic silence. And by the end of this, you'll know exactly how to use it. Section 1. The misunderstood power of silence. Let's be honest. We live in a world that's obsessed with noise. We think talking equals confidence, that filling the air means you're in control. We mistake silence for weakness, awkwardness, or a lack of anything to say. But that's a total misunderstanding of one of the most powerful forces in human communication. Strategic silence isn't an absence of noise. It's the presence of pure intention. It's a calculated choice to not speak in order to get a specific result. Think about it. In a world of constant chatter, dings, and notifications, silence is disruptive. It breaks the pattern. When everyone else is scrambling to fill the dead air, your choice to stay quiet creates a power vacuum. And what do people do? They rush to fill it, often revealing far more than they ever intended. It's a power move that signals confidence and control. It gives you the space to manage your emotions, process what's happening, and respond with deadly precision instead of just reacting. When you master silence, you stop playing their game of who can talk the fastest or the loudest. You change the game completely. You go from being a reactive player to a strategic observer who controls the entire flow of the conversation without saying a word. You stop being just another voice in the noise. You become the one person everyone leans in to hear. Because when you finally do speak, with the weight of that silence behind your words, they land with an impact that shouting never could. Section 2. Silence in the battlefield of arguments and negotiations. Every high-stakes conversation, whether it's asking for a raise or a fiery debate, is a game of psychological chess. Your words are your pieces, sure, but your silence? That's the board itself. It controls the space, the tension, and the rules of the game. The person who is most comfortable with that silence is the one who controls the board. The first and most powerful technique is the pregnant pause. After someone makes their point, especially if it's an aggressive or totally unreasonable one, fight every instinct you have to jump in and defend yourself. Instead, just hold that space. Say nothing. This creates a tension that is so uncomfortable for most people that their brains scramble to fix it. More often than not, they'll start talking again, and what comes out next is pure gold. They might start backtracking, revealing weaknesses in their own argument. They might soften their stance and offer a concession you didn't even ask for, or they'll just keep talking until they've backed themselves into a corner. Your silence pressures them to keep revealing information while you give up absolutely nothing. The second technique is to listen to understand, not to respond. This sounds simple, but it's a radical act. Most people in a conversation are just waiting for their turn to talk. Don't be one of them. Actually, listen. Maintain eye contact, nod, and show you're engaged. When they finish, apply that pregnant pause. An experienced attorney once coached a junior banker who kept interrupting with quick responses. The advice was simple. Count to 3 in your head before you say anything. The result was transformative. The banker wasn't just more effective, he was seen as wiser and more in control. That tiny gap of silence shifts you from a reactive mindset to a strategic one. The third rule? Speak last, especially in group settings. Let everyone else fight for the microphone. Let them argue, interrupt each other, and tire themselves out. By holding back, you position yourself as the final word. When you finally do speak, you're not just tossing in another opinion, you're delivering the verdict. You've had the benefit of hearing every other perspective, and your carefully chosen words can summarize, redirect, or put a final, decisive end to the discussion. Using silence this way shows incredible confidence and makes your contribution far more powerful and memorable. Section 3. Silence as your shield. D. Escalation and self-defense. The power of silence isn't just for the boardroom. It's a vital tool for de-escalating tense situations and protecting yourself. As Sun Tzu wrote, "The greatest victory is that which requires no battle." Strategic silence is how you win without fighting. In a confrontation, an aggressor feeds on your reaction. They want to see your fear, your anger, your frantic arguments. When you give them nothing but calm silence, you completely rewrite their script. The first step in de-escalation is often to just give the person your undivided attention and let there be silence. It shows you aren't a threat, but you aren't intimidated either. It signals that you're listening, which can instantly lower their defenses. Combine that silence with open body language, hands unclenched, arms uncrossed, and a calm, neutral tone if you do choose to speak. An angry person is a powder keg. Reacting with loud words is like striking a match. Responding with measured silence is like dousing the fuse with water. It starves the conflict of the energy it needs to explode. Silence is also your strongest ally when setting boundaries. After you've stated your boundary clearly and firmly, "Please do not speak to me that way," the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing else. Don't justify it. Don't explain it. Don't apologize for it. Your statement, followed by unwavering silence, is the boundary. The silence says, "This is not up for discussion." But let's be clear. This isn't the manipulative, silent treatment which is used to punish and control. The goal of strategic silence is to create safety and regain control of a volatile situation, not to inflict emotional pain. It shows that you refuse to be a participant in their chaos. In moments of threat, your calm and your silence are your shield. Before we get into building your inner strength, if you're finding this guide valuable for mastering your communication, take a second to subscribe and click the bell. This channel is all about giving you the tools to become more powerful and effective in every part of your life. Section 4. The Inner Fortress. Silence for Personal Growth. Using silence to win arguments and navigate conflicts is only half the battle. The other half, the foundation for all of it, is cultivating inner silence. We live in a world that is drowning us in noise, both auditory and digital. This constant flood jacks up our stress hormones, exhausts our minds, and keeps us in a state of anxious reaction. Building an inner fortress of silence isn't a luxury. It's essential for mental clarity and resilience. Scientific studies have shown that silence has a profound regenerative effect on the brain. A 2006 study found that just 2 minutes of silence can be more relaxing than listening to so-called relaxing music, leading to a noticeable drop in blood pressure and heart rate. Periods of quiet have been shown to reduce levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, which helps improve your mood and focus. Perhaps most incredibly, research has shown that silence can actually stimulate cell growth in the hippocampus, the part of the brain tied to memory and learning. When you're silent, your brain isn't just resting, it's healing and growing. Silence is the only way to truly hear yourself. When you intentionally cut out the noise, you create a space for self-reflection. You can connect with what you actually want, beyond the impulsive decisions that come from a life lived on autopilot. This self-awareness is the core of emotional intelligence. It's your chance to check in, understand what you're feeling, and respond to the world with intention. By building a practice of silence, you're not just finding peace, you are forging resilience. You're creating a calm, centered core that allows you to engage with the world more powerfully than ever before. Section 5. How to practice strategic silence. Your action plan. Knowing the power of silence is one thing. Actually using it is another. Like any weapon, it takes training. Here's your action plan to start integrating strategic silence into your life. First, you have to build your silence muscle. Start small. Dedicate just 5 to 10 minutes a day to intentional silence. This isn't about becoming a monk. It can be a silent walk with no headphones, sitting with your morning coffee before the world wakes up, or just turning off the radio in the car. The goal is to get comfortable with the absence of noise, so your brain can switch from processing to restoring. Second, practice active listening with a pause. In your very next conversation, make it your only goal to understand what the other person is saying, not to plan your comeback. When they finish talking, consciously pause for 3 full seconds before you speak. This will feel awkward at first. You'll want to fill the void. Don't. Use that time to actually absorb what they said. This one habit will make your responses 10 times more thoughtful and impactful. Third, use powerful questions followed by silence. Instead of just making statements, ask open-ended questions like, "What's your biggest concern here?" Or, "How do you think we should solve this?" Then, lean back and be quiet. The silence puts the focus on them, forcing them to think deeper and give you a more honest answer. You shift the burden of talking to them and you get to gather critical information. Finally, know the difference between constructive silence and destructive silence. The techniques we've discussed are for creating understanding and gaining a strategic edge. They are not the same as the silent treatment, which is a passive-aggressive tool used to punish and manipulate. Strategic silence is about control and insight. The silent treatment is about hostility and avoidance. Use your power to win battles, not to burn relationships. For too long, we've been tricked into believing that power belongs to the loudest voice in the room. We've fought to be heard, often sacrificing our strategy and our sanity just to get a word in. But true power isn't about volume. It's about control. It's about presence. It's about knowing when to speak, and more importantly, when not to. Silence is your secret weapon. In arguments, it's a tool for getting information and forcing the other side to back down. In conflict, it's a shield that diffuses threats and shows unshakable calm. And in your own life, it's a sanctuary for growth, clarity, and resilience. By embracing the techniques we've covered, the pregnant pause, active listening, the daily practice of quiet, you're not just learning to be quiet, you are learning to be heard. You are transforming yourself from someone who gets talked over into a presence that commands respect. Stop fighting to be the loudest. Start being the most powerful. Your silence is your weapon. Now, you know how to use it.